If a police officer suddenly asks you about your gun, would you know exactly what to say, or would you freeze and accidentally say something that could be used against you? Because today, I'm going to reveal the one response that gun owners across the country are using to stay legally protected, and the reason it has stirred up so much controversy. Some lawyers love it, some hate it, and police unions absolutely do not want you talking about it. This topic has exploded online, especially after several recent cases where simple conversations with officers turned into unexpected searches, confiscations, and legal nightmares, all because one wrong sentence left people exposed. And what I'm about to explain to you is so misunderstood that most gun owners have no idea how badly a routine question can flip their entire situation upside down in seconds. So pay very close attention, because what you're about to hear could genuinely change how you handle every police encounter from now on. Before we go deeper, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and comment below what part of this topic shocks you the most, because I guarantee something in this video will surprise you. And I want to know exactly what caught your attention. Today we're diving into the real reason officers ask certain questions, the subtle psychological tricks behind friendly conversations, and why saying too much, sometimes even when you think you're being helpful, can completely destroy your legal protections. This video isn't about anti-police rhetoric. It's about understanding your rights, understanding your boundaries, and knowing the exact moment when silence becomes your strongest shield. Stay with me all the way until the end, because the final revelation, the one most gun owners never hear, is so important, so rarely discussed, and so shocking that it could completely change the way you respond during any stop or encounter. Trust me, you do not want to miss the last part. 1. Understanding the legal reality when police ask about your gun. When a police officer suddenly asks whether you have a gun, most people freeze, panic, or overshare, and that's exactly how innocent gun owners end up in situations where lawful possession becomes a legal headache. It is crucial to understand the legal landscape behind these encounters because the rules of the game change instantly depending on whether the encounter is consensual, a detention, or an arrest. In a consensual encounter, you are not required to tell the police anything about your firearm unless state law forces disclosure, and in most states, it does not. In an investigative detention, police need reasonable suspicion that you are armed and dangerous, not simply armed, a very important distinction. And in an arrest scenario, the situation becomes even more delicate because every word you speak becomes evidence. Courts have repeatedly ruled that the mere fact that someone possesses a firearm legally does not automatically give law enforcement the authority to conduct invasive searches or prolonged detentions. Several recent court opinions have emphasized that lawful gun possession, even when visible, does not convert a citizen into a threat nor justify a fishing expedition. This reality contradicts what many officers used to assume and has become a controversial turning point in modern policing, especially as gun laws evolve rapidly. Understanding this foundation is the first step in knowing why the specific response you give matters so deeply and why a few carefully chosen words can protect you from misunderstandings, wrongful searches, and unnecessary escalation. 2. Your constitutional shield. Invoking the Fifth Amendment strategically. Now let's address one of the most misunderstood but powerful tools any gun-owning citizen has, the Fifth Amendment. This isn't about hiding guilt or disrespecting officers. It is about asserting a constitutional right that prevents your own words from being used against you, even when you have done nothing wrong. The Fifth Amendment gives you the right to remain silent, avoid self-incrimination, and request legal counsel when needed. Many attorneys advise that if a police officer asks, "Do you have a gun?" and answering could complicate things or put you in legal uncertainty, the safest response is to calmly invoke your Fifth Amendment right. This is not being uncooperative, it is being wise. You can say, respectfully, "Officer, I'm choosing to remain silent and would like to speak with an attorney." The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that once a person explicitly invokes their Fifth Amendment rights, police cannot continue questioning designed to extract incriminating information. This shield becomes even more important in states with complex gun transport laws, magazine restrictions, or confusing permit systems where innocent mistakes turn into criminal liability. It's controversial because many officers dislike when citizens assert this right, but legality is not determined by an officer's preference, it is determined by the Constitution. If you don't know precisely whether your firearm configuration, transportation method, or carry status complies with every detail of local law, silence is protection, not aggression. 3. How to handle a traffic stop when armed. The moment police lights flash behind you, everything becomes more serious if you are armed. Even legal gun owners can unintentionally escalate a stop if they move too quickly or say too much. A safe and strategic approach begins with keeping your hands visible, stopping the vehicle fully, turning off the engine, and waiting until the officer approaches. Do not reach for your wallet, registration, or glove compartment until the officer asks. Sudden movements toward areas where a weapon might be stored can trigger unnecessary tension. When the officer makes contact, and if state law requires you to inform them about your firearm, do so clearly and calmly. If it does not, you must weigh whether disclosure benefits or endangers you. Many experts recommend stating something like, "Officer, I want to let you know I am legally armed, and the firearm is located in location. I will not touch it." This reduces nervousness and keeps your hands visible. But even when informing the officer, you are not consenting to searches. You can politely add, "I do not consent to any searches." This is legally important because an officer may attempt to use your acknowledgement of a firearm as an excuse to explore your entire car. Unless they have probable cause or a warrant, they cannot legally search the vehicle based solely on the presence of a firearm. The way you communicate, calm voice, clear language, zero sudden movements, can prevent misunderstandings that escalate into dangerous or legally complicated situations. 4. When you are not required to surrender or reveal your gun. Many citizens believe that if police ask to see their gun or ask whether they have one, they are required to comply, but in many situations, that is not true. Outside of mandatory disclosure states, you generally do not have to reveal the presence of a firearm unless the officer has a lawful reason to demand it. There is a big difference between a request and a lawful order. In consensual encounters, police cannot compel you to turn over your gun. If they attempt to search your vehicle or personal belongings without probable cause, you can legally refuse by saying, "I do not consent to any searches." This protects you in court later even if the officer proceeds unlawfully. During a detention, the officer may perform a limited pat-down if they can articulate reasonable suspicion that you are both armed and dangerous, not merely armed. And during an arrest, your firearm will likely be secured for safety, but that does not erase your right to remain silent. Many officers will attempt to phrase a question casually such as, "Mind if I take a look?" or, "Just for my safety, can you hand it to me?" These are requests, not commands. And handing your firearm to an officer can, depending on the state, be interpreted as granting voluntary consent to a search, weakening your legal defense later. Many gun owners protect themselves by stating clearly, "Officer, I prefer not to handle the firearm. I am not consenting to any searches." This approach is calm, respectful, and legally sound. It maintains safety while protecting your rights without escalating the encounter. 5. Recent shifts, legal battles, and court decisions every gun owner must know. The legal environment surrounding firearms in 2025 is more unstable and rapidly shifting than at any other time in recent memory. Several recent rulings have redefined how officers can treat legally armed citizens. In one of the most debated decisions, a high-level federal court ruled that simply possessing a firearm, even in a high-crime area, is not enough to justify a stop and frisk. This ruling sent shockwaves through law enforcement agencies, as many officers had relied on the assumption that firearms automatically created reasonable suspicion. The decision clarified that armed does not equal dangerous. This standard has forced departments to retrain officers on constitutional limits. Meanwhile, red flag laws have expanded across several states, allowing courts to order temporary firearm confiscation based on allegations of dangerous behavior. This means that the way you act during a police encounter can influence whether someone uses the legal system against you. Additionally, nationwide debates continue surrounding magazine bans, carry permit requirements, and transportation rules, and some states have implemented sudden changes that have surprised lawful gun owners overnight. The legal world around firearms is shifting under everyone's feet, and each new ruling influences how police interact with citizens. Understanding these changing dynamics is essential because the wrong statement made during an encounter can intersect with these evolving laws and create unintended consequences. 6. The strategic 5-word response that protects you legally. Now we arrive at the centerpiece of this entire video. The specific response that protects you in nearly every scenario when an officer asks, "Do you have a gun?" or "Where is your firearm?" Every attorney specializing in gun law agrees that silence, when paired with a clear invocation of rights, is your strongest shield. The most effective 5-word response is, "I am invoking my rights." This phrase triggers your Fifth Amendment protection and signals that you are not waiving any legal defenses. If you want to be more explicit, you can state, "I am invoking my right to remain silent and I want an attorney." This stops questioning legally, prevents unintentional self-incrimination, and prevents your statements from being twisted or misunderstood. If you are in a traffic stop and your state requires disclosure, you combine both approaches. "Officer, I need to inform you that I am legally carrying a firearm in location. I am invoking my right to remain silent and I do not consent to any searches." This is calm, controlled, safe, and constitutionally powerful. It prevents escalation, avoids sudden movements, and keeps the officer informed while protecting your legal rights. Officers may not like it, but they cannot punish you for using constitutional protections. Silence is not guilt, and invoking your rights is not suspicion, it is intelligence. These words have saved countless gun owners from unnecessary legal trouble, misinterpretations, and dangerous misunderstandings.